of improving our UAW union. And as always, we start with leadership is never about power and control, but rather for the honor and the privilege of serving the members or the community in their best interest. So having said that, I've said that I would go along with the thought of Aristotle, who said that a problem half solved is a problem, or a problem half defined, or defined is a problem half solved. And I apologize for that. So as we move into this, you'll see, as everybody has the opportunity to have some input on both sides, that we will put a finer point to the notion that this is a straight up or down request from the court on the issue of one member, one vote. And as far as we know, there are no qualifiers for this regarding anything. It's just up or down. Do you want one member, one vote? That's a direct vote. I'll start by saying this is founded in the notion that Title 29 U.S. Code, United States Code 481A states that you have the choice between a delegate convention system or a direct vote, that also known as one member, one vote. With that in mind, we have a delegate convention system that we've had in the UAW since the outset of this law that came into be in the late 40s. I believe it was the the Taft-Hartley Act that brought this in, requiring this. There are a lot of thoughts on both sides of this. Walter Reuther chose this method to have the delegates vote for the executive officers for the IEB in the UAW. He did that for any number of reasons. There is a modicum of control over that. There's more control over it these days because of the advent of the system of appointees and joint programs, although that's been mitigated recently as that's been virtually dismantled. So that's a little less, but there's still enormous power at the top over the delegate system. The delegates, by and large, are elected or appointed officials in the plant themselves, in their own plant, and that means that they are beholding, in large part, to keep those jobs, elected or appointed, to the local and international leadership. With that said, we're being asked to have a one member, one vote. And with that, there are a number of problems that we have with regard to that, not the least of which are qualifications. And we'll get into some of those as we go through. There are a list of 19 items that have already been presented to me, and everybody has those. So as we go through this, and everybody has their say on whether you prefer the delegate convention system or you prefer the one member, one vote system. And everybody in this venue is free to speak their mind regarding whatever they choose. I'm going to stay as neutral as I can. I do have opinion on it that by the end of this, we will see everybody's opinion, including mine. And I'm pretty neutral on it as it stands, and we'll see if an up or down vote is in the best interest of this union. So having said that, is there anybody that would like to go first with their own opinion or research that they want to present? I know Bobby has quite a bit of stuff that she's already done on this regarding a method that might be plausible to everybody. So Bobby, would you like to go first?
I've been thinking about this for quite some time about how we can improve this and it not be a bullying system. Because once you get up to the Constitutional Convention, you know, each local has their own little table they sit at, and then they say, hey, like my local's 2250, how do you vote? And everybody's looking at you. So one of my thoughts was to eliminate that bullying system by having each local have a tallying computer at their desk, and they enter in their votes, and it just comes up as a big tally on the screen. And kind of like how we do our regular democratic elections in our communities and for our country, we could say, like, these locals have already entered their votes. We're waiting on these locals to come in, kind of like precincts. And at the local level, if we have all of the issues and the people that we're voting on ahead of time, each local could have their own election. And let's just say that 1,000 people come out from my local to vote. And like we want to make an amendment to something, and 800 people say yes, 200 people say no. Our delegates then take those votes and go up to the Constitutional Convention and put them into their secret little computer at their desk. And it says 800 people said yes, 200 people said no, and the tallies come up on the screen, just like you see when we're watching our regular democratic election.
Okay. Is there a con to that?
Yeah, there is. I think that even if people came out to vote, let's just say, we've got 4,500 people. If only 1,000 people come out, does that really mean that it's one member, one vote? Also, the knowing who these people are, I mean, Leroy, you're a great man. I don't think that all 500,000 active workers know who you are. I mean, I wish they did, because they're missing out on a great opportunity to know a lot of knowledge. But I think that trying to find the right person for the job instead of popularity would be a problem to this one member, one vote, because we see it here in my local. My vice president won on popularity alone, and he's horrible at his job. He doesn't even know his lane to be in to do his job. So we'll have a little side discussion about that later, about how at our all chairs meeting, I told him how underappreciated I was.
Okay. Well, let's stay on
What do you
the method of election here.
what do you think
something?
about that as far as the larger locals? Say for instance, I have 6,000 at my local, and every member is going to vote there, and then you have another local that has 500, and we all know that the voting will be somewhat biased by local, because we're all friends, we all talk, we have, you know what I mean?
Right.
So how do you make that fair?
If you think about the way that this is potentially set up, it just makes that part fair as having one person have a vote. But the problem I see with one member, one vote is how do these smaller locals not get swallowed up?
Right.
How do the larger locals not get wined and dined by a person to
Right.
sway their vote? So yeah, I think that there's a lot of problems wrong with what we currently have, but I think that it can be improved upon to make it better for the membership as a whole.
Okay.
We don't know what the exact reason or the exact solution to this problem is. Like, that's why we're trying to have this conversation.
Oh no, I realize that, and I agree it needs to change. Don't get me wrong. I'm just
Right. Right. Well, let me throw out a couple of the items that were on the list that came to me. What do you think is wrong with the existing system? And I want to make one thing known, that the federal law, Title 29, U.S. Code, Section 1 or 481A, requires a secret ballot in either case. Unfortunately, we haven't had a secret ballot in our delegate convention system, only for the delegates, not at convention. And that's problematic in and of itself. So that might answer a couple of these questions down the road. But the question would be, what's wrong with the current system? Is it because many of the delegates are beholden to the leadership and afraid that they'll lose their job and go back to a horrible working system on a production line, or something else? I'll throw that out there.
I definitely think that's part of it.
Right.
I think that in my local, sad to say, but a lot of people don't even know what a delegate is. And when we go to vote for the delegates, it's very low voter turnout, very low candidates. I mean, a lot of times they just win by acclamation because people don't even run for it. They don't even know what it is.
Right.
And so it's pretty much a free-for-all. They can get whoever they want to be a delegate. They can vote how they want when they get down there. It's terrible.
Right. And a lot of it is, that's just a vacation, they say, that I've known people to run saying, I need a vacation and get elected. It's just
Right.
sad. Yeah. So that's a problem with the current system.
You
Is
need to
there a way
educate the members a lot more before
educate?
fall. Before fall, they need to be educated on what's going on. It's not an easy thing, I know, but
Right. One of the second issue, and I think everybody has this, but I'll just read them out so we can have some discussion on each of these. Can we directly elect regional directors and assistant directors and have those folks elect the president, treasurer, and the vice presidents? I'll throw that out there, but there's an answer to it that's in federal law.
oh, okay.
Okay, so either you have a direct vote or you have a delegate convention system, and so we need to have the direct vote if we want to have that, but we can't have a melding of the two, as I understand the law. It's either one or the other. So if we have one member, one vote, that would then be for all officers, not for, as some local unions do, they elect their shop committee and then the shop committee elects the chairperson from within their rank.
Really?
Yeah, there's all manner of ways of doing this, but that does happen. And I've been in locals that, I've had 4 locals and I've seen it done both ways. 659 does that, by the way. And I've been in 598, 652, and 1753 local unions. So next one would be, should signature, this is more that's not said in federal law. Should signatures be required to be collected for eligibility? And if so, how many signatures? That was a question. These are not mine. These have been posed to me.
Well, if you
That's-
don't have something that's the candidates, you could have 100 people run for something. There should be some kind of.
Well, the signature was one of the qualifiers that you would need to have X number of signatures. And, the other thing is who would, vet these signatures, and anybody vote or sign 2 of these for the same office, for example. So you would have to deal with that as well. So, a very popular person, we know of one that's out there that's on FaceTime a lot. He could collect 4, 5, 10,000 signatures. Is he qualified? Is the question. Does collecting signatures qualify you? And you know, that's up for discussion. Pardon?
Who verifies those signatures?
Well, that would be determined at some point in the future. Right now, it's just an up or down vote. Do we want delegates?
I know they do that for the other elections, like when we have a judge running for whatever, they have to get so many signatures to get on, and it could be the same thing. Like that doesn't really make them qualified, but it gets them on in the running. And why do they do that?
For the outside political offices,
Yeah.
they want to make sure that you have a modicum of support from the community. They've changed that a lot in that you can spend $100 and forego the signatures in
Really?
most all races in Michigan. There's a few that still require Congress. That's a federal position or an elected office, and the congressional offices have to collect signatures. So, and I believe the top 4 in the state of Michigan have to collect signatures as well. Other than that, they can oftentimes just do the $100 and go ahead and get elected. A lot of people choose not to do that, but because they don't want that stigma, oh, you bought your way in.
And I don't know how that's even a substitute for it.
It
It's
is
silly to me.
Yeah,
Silly.
yeah, it's about the money sometimes. So yeah,
Yeah,
I remember when it
okay.
came to be. Yeah, so yeah. So with that, so is there any thought on how many signatures? If you know, and Jeff, do you have any thought on that?
I don't think
it's been quiet over there.
I don't think signatures are an issue. I don't think they'll work because, like you said, there's somebody out there that's on FaceTime who is not qualified, and many of us know about it. It's not going to work. The signatures.
Okay, so signatures, it needs to be.
I don't know why we would do it.
Right, okay. And here's the next one. What other eligibility, if any, should be required to be elected to the International Executive Board? Your thoughts on that?
Previous executive board experience at the local level or the region.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Bobby, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah. Okay. So here I have vice president who hasn't even been a treasurer before, gets the popular vote of being the vice president and has 0 qualifications to be doing the job that he's doing. But now he's got experience in office, but not technically because he's really not doing anything that falls under his job description, but yet he could run because he has 4 years under his belt as a vice president.
Maybe there should be a test.
Maybe there should be a test. Yeah.
A test that you have to pass, a written test.
A written test. So you got to know so much about this and that about our union. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know how to open up your constitution.
Yeah, or maybe,
we got to change the constitution. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah. Jeff, you got any thoughts on the requirements?
I think they have to have knowledge of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Knowing most of them don't know.
Right,
That's all I gotta say. You gotta have some experience.
I'm not an expert by any means.
Well, you know, I mean, we're all learning. I learn every day. So, and I really thank everybody, some who are on this call that have given me opportunity to learn as well. So, but I like the idea of the test. And should that be administered by some authority so that they just don't go to the internet and Google all the answers? Right. They have to really know it, you know? Should be.
They have to go to the Secretary of State.
What if we limited the signatures to? What if we limited the signatures to important people, like so many presidents in your region,
like
so many, yeah, like
that becomes political, right?
Yeah,
well,
kind of.
More political, I think, because then you have.
I wouldn't get a single one if I had to do that.
Right. Yeah. I can't think of many I'd get either. quite honestly.
I'm just teasing, but yeah.
No, seriously.
And there's some really good, qualified, highly educated and experienced people on this Zoom meeting here. Might not be a lot, and there's a lot I know that wanted to be here, but quite frankly, I want to be very forward about this. Our little group has come under some scrutiny, so we want to make sure that everybody's safe, and we gave people the opportunity to come on without actually turning their camera on or putting a little paper over it or something. But people are afraid to be out front, even on this issue here that's so important for the membership. So please be aware of that, everybody that is going to be getting this. We've been asked to disseminate this to local leadership who have an interest in change, and we're going to do that to the best that we can in a private way. And then as people consider this, we'd like to get it to the overseer that happens to be a gentleman. So he will be be able to see this so that he can understand more about this system and whether a straight up or down vote really does improve our union or if it has more problems than it solves. So let's take a look at the next one. I think this is answered in federal law, but this came to be the question, should the vote of either method be secret? And quite frankly, the federal statute says it's supposed to be secret. And
Absolutely, 100% it should be.
yeah, the delegates are, but at the executive board at the convention, it's not in our present system.
I mean, we've all heard the stories of the bullying that goes on there, right?
Absolutely.
They're going to watch how you vote. And if you don't vote how we say to vote, I've heard temps getting threatened to their jobs, you know, everything.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely happening, and it should be secret.
Right. Yes, I agree. In the next one, it's 2021. Why can't we use electronic balloting right from somebody's phone, or, you know, that they get a number and that number goes directly to your phone? I can't imagine many people not having a phone these days. I know there's a few, or getting a number in their mail so that they can respond that way and do that possibly electronically, where they just log in somewhere, even a library, and use their number to vote, and that number is exclusive to them. Your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I believe that a novice, young, like IT person could hack that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
I think the use of electronic machines, you know, in our local is less threatening to use them there.
More security.
I completely have given up on paper ballots during our regular elections because I think that there's too many hands in the fire. But if you're using an electronic ballot, you know, kind of like the balloting machines that we use in our regular elections, I think that's a lot less of a problem of having someone taint the ballot.
So security is an issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would say so.
He walked in on me saying tape. That was it. Oh, God.
We didn't hear that. We didn't hear it. It's okay. All right. So, Jeff, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, knowing my local and our president, there's too many issues with our election committee for fraud, and I don't think that'll work. So I don't know how to change that.
Okay. Thoughts from Stephanie?
When you say you have a lot of problem with fraud with your election committee, is it with the paper ballot that we're using now? Because, I mean, I know how they can cheat. Obviously, I think we all do. But I've always wondered why we don't do the electronic ballot, and they are dead set against it. And there's got to be a reason why. So
Because
I tend to
there's
think
no
we
way
should.
to count the votes, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
See, I
Exactly.
did this back in my old local. I did this where they used just paper ballots, but I had broken it down to shift and department, and each department had
Sorry,
a
hold
different
on.
colored ballot, and there were only that many ballots printed in that specific color for that shift and department. And when I did that, I became a target because I had taken away their ability to pad the votes for someone that they wanted to get into an office. But it was the most fair election that they've had in decades. So
Well,
I was a challenge person for somebody running in our local a few years back. So we met at the local after that voting. The results of that election were we needed a runoff in a couple areas. And they showed us the numbers. And then when I got to work later that afternoon, as I worked afternoon shift, the results were changed by our local president, who our local election committee allows to him. We had a great election committee for 15, 20 years, did everything right. And as soon as he got his goons placed as election committee, they have ruined everything. They have ruined everything. Every election since has been fraud. You can't change the results.
okay, so you're saying that the local union administration of an election, that system needs to change into something. I mean, the electronic method, there are ways to getting double and triple verification on who you are that only the UAW would have in their the file, membership file. So that that may be still a possibility. So let's not discount electronics. You know, I understand there's risks out there, but there's ways. I believe there's ways of mitigating that, and you know, we can defer that to higher authorities when that does get to be implemented, even in this upcoming election that we're supposed to have sometime this fall. So security is an issue for
just
those
to
listening.
clarify,
Pardon?
I'm sorry,
Pardon?
Leroy, but just to clarify, like I'm not against electronic voting.
Yeah.
I would be against having something on your phone or calling in or something like that. I would rather see electronic voting going on in our local instead of paper ballots. But you know,
Right.
having something come to your phone, there's a lot of men that I work with that still have a flip phone. So I'm pretty sure that they can't get on to the internet with their flip phone.
Well, the flip phones they're actually supposed to be internet access now. So, you know, they have different levels of them. You know, I have a little, I've kept every phone since 1996 when I got my first one. So it's an
I was gonna say,
interesting.
how do you know?
Bag phone,
You got a
bag
flip
phone,
phone.
I do know.
Sprint bag phone.
So here's another issue here, number 7 on our list. The UAW Constitution, Article 8, Section 25 states, local union action to instruct a delegate does not serve to commit or bind delegate on any issue he may vote on at convention. And the question is, should the current system remain? Can this be changed to bind delegates to vote the way the local union members or the local members want? And to expand on that just a little, would this just be from the members or from the floor of the local union membership meeting? And that makes quite a difference when you consider who's in control of the floor of the membership meeting. By and large, you try to go there and make a motion, find out real quick how that goes. And unless you have support, a lot of it. So would it be, the question is, should the delegates be, or if it's still the delegate system, should the delegates be bound by the local union in a delegate convention system that we currently have? Would that be one of the improvements if one member, one vote were to be turned down? Questions out there?
That's what I said, is that the delegates, the membership should vote on who they want elected. And then the delegates go to the convention and they vote how our membership voted. I do believe they should be bound by vote, yes. Because how else would they, there's no other way they would know how the membership wants, because they don't go around and ask people, you know?
No,
Right.
currently what they do is a delegate can go up there with the intentions of voting one way, but get up there and be wined and dined and persuaded.
Right.
And then the very next day, you know, when you're doing the walk of shame into the delegates room, that you're voting a different way because maybe someone persuaded you somehow
Right.
to vote one way or the other.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay, so Jeff, you got a thought on that?
That's, this whole section here contradicts each other.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, I think people who goes to the convention should vote the way they want.
Okay. All right, not the way the membership wants them to vote, the majority of the members.
But the majority of the delegates will vote the way the membership wants. But a lot of times when you have a union meeting to discuss it, you get 4 or 5 people in attendance, like we do in our group.
Exactly. So they don't even know how the membership wants them to vote. They
Right.
don't usually even care.
Right.
We've never been asked at our union meetings that I can recall.
Right. That brings up another question down the, we'll get to it. But should one of the problems could be in the old method or in the new method, as we, you know, changes are made, would you want them to be bound to vote for a caucus rather than for an individual, in the sense that we've watched Congress in the United States have a divided leadership? Do we want to see that same divided leadership in the UAW that then becomes dysfunctional in virtually every, and she's smiling, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So,
Are you talking about me?
At the local union level too, yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's how do you want the delegates to be bound? How would you like your local union to be bound when you have one member, one vote? Do you encourage your local union to vote for X slate over Y slate as an encouragement to say, we don't want to have divided government at our international level and have that become dysfunctional? Is the question. I mean, these are questions that have come up, and there's probably 3 questions that have just been articulated by me. So
yeah, whoever came up with that question, kudos to them, because that is something I have not thought about, is having a whole caucus run and vote on a caucus, because now you've got a cohesive group of people that are working for the same, you know, it's not an individual, a bunch of individuals with a bunch of individual thinking getting all mushed together. You actually have a caucus of people that are working for the membership, and then Like that actually makes a lot of sense. I get it.
I don't like
know.
it.
I don't know how I feel about that though, but I don't know how I feel about that. Like it's just
I,
something I haven't thought of.
Hi, buddy. I think there's good and bad sides to it, but for me, I was asked to run on a slate. This is for instance, I was asked to run on a slate at our local, and I declined because, for one thing, I'm a trustee, and I think it's a conflict of interest to have them endorse me. Because honestly, my job is to make sure that they're doing their job. And if
True.
we're buddy buddy, I just think it's conflict of interest. So I declined. Not to mention that they treat me like shit all the time anyway. I couldn't even believe they asked me. But and I feel like a lot of people in our plant complain because when they run their slates, they print up these big things and pass them out to the membership, and it's got all the people on there that they want them to elect, and they feel like they're being told who to vote for. So
Oh, well, no, I don't think, I get where you're saying. Trust me. I get exactly where you're saying because I was thrown into a situation like that. But what I think the question that Leroy brought up is that if we had like, let's just say this group right here, okay, we're all going to run for the e-board positions, you know, do we vote on that? Or do we say, well, Leroy's pretty good, but, you know, maybe Jeff's not, or, you know, forget Bobby, she's a bitch, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like if we were all
maybe
running
with this
into
dynamic, because it is such a wide area, I mean, it's everywhere, right? Maybe
Right.
with this dynamic, it would be better because a lot of people aren't going to even know these people who are running. So
Right.
maybe if they know one of them and they say, this guy, he's good, you know, we're on the same page, you know, maybe it would be a good thing. I mean, I see good and bad to it, I guess.
Right. Like as a trustee, that's a different situation. You know what I mean? Because you are making sure that the e-board's doing what they're supposed to be doing and checks and balances and inventories and stuff like that. But
Which
like,
I'm wondering about our international trustees right now. Why are they not under fire? I don't understand that at all. Doesn't make any sense to me. I can't wrap my head around that.
I agree. The trustees for the international could be a different group of people. You know, as you indicated, the trustees are supposed to keep those officers in good stead.
Right.
And very clearly, there are some issues out there. One, that there's a $61 million loan to one entity controlled by the international, and another 10 million loan to an entity controlled by the UAW leadership that's not the UAW itself. So there's $71 million out there in loans, and those should have been held to account under federal law and in our Constitution itself. So there's a lot of things not being done properly currently. That's why we're having some of these discussions here now. Let me just say,
our current president has his name on both of those.
yeah, UBE and UBG, if you want to look them up, then the who's in charge of those and who owns them. The list, there's a list of presidents and treasurers on those that are the same as UAW, but actually one of them's in prison now. He's president of one of them. So it's actually not controlled by the UAW, but by other people in a different venue. So those two corporations exist. Having said that, I want to go back to the notion of a slate. Yes, I agree that trustees should be elected separately, and they can run however they choose to. You need to have people that are, able to work with one another, but not be beholden to anyone. The slate system, I believe, would tend to vet a lot of the folk to find out if they're actually qualified, because in the end, when you sit together as a slate you're not going to pick somebody that's going to make you look bad. They're going to have experience when you sit down in meetings and say, are you really qualified to do this job? And they better have some good answers. That would be the benefit of a slate, and it answers one of the other questions. That's my opinion on that matter itself. Jeff, do you have one?
Slate,
Yeah.
we're talking local issues?
No, this is national for the either one member, one vote. How are you going to vote? Are you going to vote for a slate, or are you going to vote for individuals and have them all over the board?
Isn't that up to the people who are voting? That would be my thing. The people voting should decide whether they want to vote for a slate or not.
Okay.
Understand?
That would have to be done prior to.
Yes,
So there could exist both as people go to vote.
right.
Okay. All right. So that would give them the opportunity to do whatever however they wanted to vote. So there'd be a team here and a team over here, and then a bunch of independents here, and
Exactly.
see how it worked out. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's something to be considered as people view this, as other people are going to view it. The next question is, how can money be raised, and who can donate money, and who oversees the and accounting of money? Did everybody get that?
Mhm.
Sorry, I need to mute when my son's sitting here.
Okay.
Oh, boy. How could they raise money? That's a hard one.
Well, first of all, what are the rules in the Constitution right now that say, there are some stuff in the Constitution, or is some stuff in the Constitution about this, right? You can't
Not
get
in the
money.
outside people can't donate. That's in violation. So,
Like, I can't take money from a member to print up my flyers. I don't think
Yes,
that's, I can?
yes, you can. Yes, you can.
What if I was selling T-shirts with my candidacy on them?
That
I don't
you
see
can
a
do
problem
that.
there.
Okay, so for some reason I thought there was something in there that said you couldn't do that.
No, you can do that. As far as we know, you can do that. You can't sell a T-shirt to somebody from the iron workers. I have a lot of iron worker friends. I got pipe fitter friends and electrician friends. They may not buy anything from me, even for the purpose that that revenue be used in a campaign that I was associated with. Can't do that. We could sell it to members all day long, but not to outside individuals or groups. And no, we can't have, one fellow was out here 3-4 years ago saying, oh, Kid Rock and Ted Nugent are going to support my campaign. Well, then Ted Nugent and Kid Rock are going to control the UAW. Is that what's going to happen? No, that's exactly why it can't occur like that. So, yeah. So there's ways of raising money internally, but who oversees that? There's an ongoing effort right now to raise money by another group, and they're collecting names for a petition to support one member, one vote. And then they ask for their email to support, to inform them and educate them. And some of the emails the people have done, I know one that I can attest to that received a solicitation for money. Now, is every person that signed up for that petition a UAW member? Is every email a UAW member? Only God knows, because we who's vetting these folks that have these emails? So we don't know. So yeah.
So things are being pushed in through the locals, so it's not like I don't see them going out in a public forum outside of our walls trying to solicit for money, though they probably could in their local politicians for money.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question or comment.
Oh, I was saying that I don't see this push that they have for their mailing list. Let's call it what it is. That it's outside of our four walls, but I could see them going to their local politicians and saying, "Hey, if you support our caucus, we can sway the memberships voting for you and you know the next election that you have coming up
Well,
for like
the right.
mayors and stuff like
Well,
that."
it's not up for us to use our opinion on whether or not that list is a clean list of only UAW members. That needs to be vetted somehow, and that seems to be the problem now. It is existing problem right now with the system of that they're pushing one member, one vote, but it wouldn't matter if it's a delegate convention system, that they now have the notion of we can get a list and ask people for money, and who's going to oversee to make sure that money came exactly and specifically from UAW members as it is legal to do, and not from outside individuals, unions, politicians, anybody beyond the scope of the UAW. Who is going to vet that? And that's
How do you
not
monitor that?
Right.
Yeah.
right. Right.
I don't think it's
Exactly.
possible.
Well, therein lies the problem.
Mhm.
Okay, because somebody has to
Um,
submit their list of donors
Sissy.
somewhere to be checked. So he's fine. He's, yeah. So our friend has a son that's following her around the room. So it's kind of cute actually. So everybody needs to
I
understand
can see the two noses under the door right now.
that.
Well, my son has autism, so he doesn't understand that I'm on a call and he needs to be quiet. And I tried to go in a different room and he keeps coming in.
It's fine. Yeah, we
How do they monitor that for the big presidential stuff? Like, I mean, if you have a tracking system, say for instance, they bought, you know, they're passing out flyers. So how many did you pass out the printing shop? You know, where did that money come from? You have to have some kind of register of how you're getting your funds and a tracking system. Like you have to be able to prove where you got the money from. But who's going to monitor that?
That's the question. Okay, it is a problem that exists currently because that's being done. We're not doing that. We're not asking anybody for money at the moment. But if we did, we'd want somewhere to send our list of donors because, you know, for example, I've been on, I'm the treasurer of a political action committee, and I'm the president, and we had a meeting yesterday of a 501c4 political corporation. And we receive money. And that money has to be accounted for in political action committees, especially to the penny, to the local authorities, and where the money came from, who it came from, and what expenditures are made. And none of that's going on currently that's existing as we speak, at least in one of the organizations, and there are no controls for those. So is there agreement that needs to have accountability so that when the oversight individual sees this, he can, and it happens to be a gentleman attorney, so that he'll be able to see this and say that he knows that this is a problem about the accounting receipts and expenditures of money. Is there agreement?
I know that I've talked to you about this before and how, you know, the money was the downfall of the administration caucus.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up the example to you one time of a baseball and softball association. How many times have we seen in the newspaper where a treasurer of one of those little tiny associations is going into jail now because a $20 and a $40 here turned into $40,000 over 6 or 7 years? And my suggestion was that if we could take the money out of the responsibility of the IEB and give it to a separate CPA accounting firm to take care of. If you take the evil out, then people can do their job. Because I think the money is what makes people feel untouchable.
That's a little off point. I get that we're talking about the political money for the caucuses, whichever caucus we're
Well,
talking about.
same thing. So you
Okay.
have a separate accounting firm take care of your monies. Instead
Okay,
of
but-
having like your best friend Susie to take
Yeah.
and keep ledger of the money coming in and out.
What if there was just one fund that every single candidate had to use? I'm just brainstorming here. You know, and it would be, you know, they keep track of each candidate's money, obviously, but anything purchased had to come from whoever's holding this account for,
That's what I'm saying,
and that
the
way,
CPA.
right. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so then, if we had any question, we could call that firm and say, where did they, you know, where did they buy this and how much, you know, did they get it from?
Right.
You just need one company, like you, I agree.
Are you also saying, and I heard it implicit in that there would be an account within the UAW that would, that vetted persons would be assigned a certain portion of money to campaign with, and when they exhausted that, it'd be over. That'd be the end of their campaign, and unless they had personal funds, but that the money would not be raised from any other source other than your own personal money, but rather the UAW would provide X amount of money for every legitimate candidate, and that's the only money they would get. Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't saying that, no, but that's
Okay.
another, I mean, that's another idea.
Okay, well, that's why, you know, we're trying to vet, you know, what's available here to improve our union, you know, and what the possibilities are. So, and we're not going to come to conclusions on this first call, okay? But we're going to point out some of the problems here that we have.
Maybe we could put a cap on how much you can spend to campaign.
Yeah, that's
Well, where's the
possibility.
money coming from in the first place?
That's the
Right.
point, right?
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I
it's
think
either
both
coming
things.
from the membership, or it's coming from the union itself. You get allocated so much money, and that quite frankly, other places, I think it's Australia that does that. They give you so much money, and then when you're done, you're over. It might not be Australia, but I've read of another.
It just can't come from a
system.
GoFundMe page.
That doesn't come from
Right?
the GoFundMe page. Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hit the belt on that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
See
Jeff,
why
you
I
have
don't
any
make any
thoughts?
sense here.
Yeah.
I like
Jeff,
her,
you have any thoughts?
I like her GoFundMe page. It can't be trusted.
Yeah.
It can't be trusted.
Right. Yeah. And well, you know, people are raising money, and, you know, they have to do that in a taxable or a tax-free method
Right.
that is legal. Okay. So, they, you know, people are setting things up that might not necessarily be legal, but we'll find out about that at some
Yep.
point.
What if everybody was afforded the same campaign technique material? Everybody gets a flyer, everybody gets, these are just examples. Everybody gets a commercial, and anything beyond the perimeters of what you're afforded is illegal. So that it keeps it fair. Everybody has the same thing across the board.
That's a possibility. So we'll, you know, it's a thought that's out there. How the money is handled, how it's gathered, how it's, you know, disseminated. Is it from somebody else? Is it from yourself? Is it from the union? And is it capped by the union? Those are thoughts that have just been raised here and need to be considered by higher authorities that are trying to make our union better and improved, rather than just throw up a up or down, one member, one vote system. So having said that, I think that's, we've kind of covered money here for the most part, unless there's anything else that anybody has to add on money. Okay, we'll move on then. What will the nomination process be? Pardon?
My Google alert just went off. They heard your voice.
Oh,
Continue, Larry.
okay, all right, yeah. What will the nomination process be in either method? Clarify the current method. Clearly, the current method does not work. It was posed to me by a member of the Office of Labor Management Standards at one point that as they were considering what to do with us as a union, should we have self-nomination, even if it's at the delegate convention or in the one member, one vote system, direct vote system. So let's open the nomination for comments on that. So Stephanie, you want to go out there first on this one?
I don't, because I have not even thought about that. So I'll just listen to what you guys have to say.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, you've been around.
Yeah, I mean, I've been known in the past to have delegates. I ran for delegate a few times. I don't think people who are elected or appointed should run for delegate. Because like we've been talking about earlier, they have given themselves to a different caucus. So I think it's somebody from the floor run for delegate. In other words, nobody who holds a elected or appointed position should run for delegate.
Okay, in the current system,
Yes.
agreed. But
Yes.
would that free up, because we're talking about nominations at the moment, would that free up delegates to be more free on nominating a person that has signed a list and say, I'd like to be nominated. Please nominate me, and somebody walk over, I'll nominate you. Or I want to place myself in self-nomination and then that be recognized.
Yeah.
Because some people that are running for a lot of reasons,
Mhm.
I mean, there's locals that have one delegate. I'm one of those locals. We didn't send anybody last time in deference to, not be, crossways with me. And I really appreciate that from my local. That was nice of them, that they didn't get in there and get crossways with somebody trying to make a difference, but I've seen also that people not get nominated that were qualified,
Mhm.
that should have been, and nobody, everybody scared to death for their own job, elected or appointed, and not nominate a highly qualified person. So, Bobby?
People go rogue trying to beat people's hind ends outside, when they're all in the mix up there.
Right. Okay. So the nomination process needs to be changed in any regard.
Yep.
Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're not necessarily clear on how self-nomination might be one of those, and that came from the one of the authorities in the Department of Labor. I don't want to get into names or anything and get anybody in trouble, but those are, as you talk to some of these people over time, they actually have some really good thought on trying to make unionism better and our union better, especially in the light that it's been in lately. So that takes care of that. That's just what number 15. That's what Jeff was just talking about. Should elected or appointed people that have those positions, should they be allowed to run if it happens that we keep the convention delegate system? Would that be a fix that nobody should run? And Jeff's been saying this for, I don't know, 3 or 4 conventions that I've known, that don't vote for anybody who's elected or
Mhm.
appointed because they're beholding to some authority to keep their cushy job, so to speak. So
Yes.
I don't know who's calling. Tom's trying to call in here. I'm going to have to step out in a second. But if you'd like to talk about whether that is good or bad, well, please do. I'll take Tom here in a second. I'll be right back.
Well, I could just put you on mute, Leroy.
I don't know how to do all that.
I will do that. Yeah, I'm gonna put you on mute so you can sit there and have your conversation. Okay, he's on mute now. I wanted to bring up a point that when we were talking about the qualifications for someone running, I know that at my local, I have a prayer's chance of ever getting elected here because I was told that if you're not from Missouri, you ain't shit.
Mm.
So,
We have that same problem with my plant.
right.
I
Am I qualified? Yeah,
Sure.
I'm pretty well versed in our Constitution. I know our contract really well. I know our contract better than like our people out on the floor. But I'm also rather educated, but sometimes book smart doesn't mean that you're street smart, but I kind of got a good feel of both. So what I'm saying is sometimes if we say that the qualifications have to be somebody that has been elected at your local, if you're not, we could have these standards of qualifications.
True. I
Don't want
agree with that.
You don't want the hotheads of who can't get elected at his own local. But I don't see him carrying around 3 different degrees,
Yeah.
which make him ineligible then, Let me bring you right back on.
I think the Constitution says if you want to run for any local office, you have to be a member in good standing for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do. And it doesn't matter what local you're a good member or good standing in either.
Right.
I learned that because they told our transfers that they couldn't run.
Mm-hmm.
Then they found out later that they could.
Yeah, the transfer should be able to run.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big problem here too. I had run for committee person and I was told you will never get elected.
I was told that too. Don't believe them.
The guy who I ran against, they found out how big of a managed suck ass that he is right now. And they're all coming to me for the answers.
Oh, yeah.
The answers.
I love that.
The union sister is still going to give you the answers. But I am going to remind you that we could have had this problem taken care of a long time ago.
We're changing the union one woman at a time.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
I know everybody knows that we have a radio show and there's a lot of guys on there, but we have a lot of female members, women members.
Well, I love when I
what we're
make
doing.
my cameo appearance.
So, but I did write several years ago. I wrote an appeal. I didn't turn it in. I wrote it for somebody else, and they tweaked it a little bit. That was at Spring Hill, Tennessee. And I think that's where that first decision was made regarding that as long as you have 1 year in the UAW, regardless of what local union you're at, you can run. And that's been tested in both 598 since then. The 1853, they were successful with that. And now 2250, I believe, has that same thing. That was rooted out of this office here some time ago. I didn't even know the name of the person that put it in. Somebody asked me my opinion on it. I wrote it, gave it to the person, and a third party that I didn't even know put it in. So we're pleased to have affected in a positive way our union regarding that. And that's our purpose here, to improve our union. On a side note here, we'll do some housekeeping regarding Tom is trying to get in to the call. He's been told to click on the link. He might have to download Zoom in order to do that. I'm not sure everything he's got,
So, yeah,
but he is trying to get in. So Bobby, watch for him
he
trying to get
has
here.
to have Zoom downloaded.
Right, exactly. So
Is he on his phone?
he's on his
Okay,
phone,
so
right. He's, part of the problem of having something like this on Saturday, we have people that have weddings. Tom's in the middle of a family reunion that they have, every year.
Yeah.
We've tried to have this, we've been trying to pull this together for the better part of a month.
he needs
And,
to have the
we've
Zoom
had a lot
app.
of
Did
things
you tell him
we
that?
just had to decide. Pardon? What'd you say? Bobby? What'd you say?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
She said he has to download the Zoom app.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I told him that. Yeah, he's going to have to download that in order to, he's not quite flip phone, but sometimes I wonder. gotta love him.
You're the dog.
So,
Oh, no.
so I think Tom would like to come back to 15 whenever he does get here. The 16 was, are we allowed to use any different method of election for national executive board offices? And again, that's rooted in federal law. For those of you that didn't hear earlier, if you're watching this after the fact, you can find that in Title 29 U.S. Code, United States Code, often called USC. So Title 29 USC Section 481A, and you'll see that it's convention delegate or direct vote, and it has to be by secret ballot. Unfortunately, in the UAW, we have secret ballot for the delegates themselves, but not a secret ballot at convention. And it's not a full vote, only, and so that everybody understands, at convention, the lowest numbered local votes first. So local number 1, local number 2, 6, 7, 9, on up into we have a lot of large locals in the 600 level, 598, for example. So I think it's one of the largest locals. 6,000, that is one of the largest locals with 16,000 members, used to be 20. They represent the state of Michigan, and they very seldom get a chance to vote. So, they would have a very different opinion because they are a TOPS, a technical office and professional division of our UAW. So they would have a different opinion on who would be elected. So that's the other thing that we'd like to throw out there. Should it be a total vote, or should it be, as has been the case, by the local number, starting with the lowest number, or should everybody be given the chance to vote and then the total be announced after that's done? And likely that's electronically if it's a delegate convention, or and that's what we're talking about here, if it were to remain delegate convention and the one member, one vote get turned down for whatever reason.
Use the electoral system.
Electoral system? Yeah.
Yeah, just like the United States does.
Well, it is kind of like, you're exactly right, Seth. It's like the Electoral College, because we vote for the Electoral College people that are the delegates, and then they go vote. So, but
what I'm saying is, if you're talking about size of the local and everybody being able to vote, we would maybe come up with something like the Electoral College, because obviously there's 6,000 members here in Trucking Bus, but there's 500 over at Parks Plant, and that's really not fair.
Well, but you get a commensurate number of delegates for your larger local. You get,
but I'm talking about for a one member, one vote, I guess. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, right. So I see what you're saying. So yeah.
But we kept the delegate system, and we just gave everyone the same number of delegates, no matter how many number of people they have in their local.
Right.
Well, that's not representative.
Well,
is that representative? I got to get my paper, Phil.
Well, it is if you're doing your own local elections on each of the issues and the people that are running. and then those delegates take those votes with them up there. But I don't think that it should be a list of, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes first. I think it should just be everybody sits down at their computer, blah, 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 types it in. It all comes up and tallies on the big screen. And then you're not waiting for, local 11 to get going when, local 692 wants to go ahead and put their stuff in.
Right, or a local 6,000 never gets the opportunity to vote. So
Right.
we're their members representative of what they want. And the answer is no, because they didn't even get a vote.
Right.
Right.
So the ones
So
that have the lower numbers are the ones that have been electing all of our
Correct.
e-board for years.
Exactly. And some of the other locals, I mean, the writers union, okay, it is the largest with enormous numbers of writers out there that are represented. They don't have a lot of delegates for whatever reason, but they have the largest number of folk that are represented. So that's there's probably a number of issues along those lines that if we got into it, they'd really have a problem with. Again, I want to ask the question, if it remains convention delegate, should every local vote at the same time and not be in secret ballot as required by law, and not rather a shout out by the lowest local union numbers until you get to a number that says that we have enough votes to be elected. So
Yeah, I see Tom coming in.
is Tom coming in?
Yeah.
No?
Leroy,
Oh, Tom.
Hey, old man.
Okay, good.
I think we're talking about us way the CAW does their elections. They do it by electronic at their convention.
Where's that, Jeff?
Canadian Auto Workers.
Okay. So they have what we just talked about. They have an electronic system where
Yes.
everybody votes at the same time. We
Yes.
don't go shout out system with the lowest local unions. And
Correct.
it's secret that way. It's a secret, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody in the room has a device. They push the button, whoever they want, and it comes up tallying on the big board like she's saying.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's exactly what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And that way nobody gets strong-armed.
Right. Good.
Because our friend Lindsay,
And everybody then has an opportunity to vote instead of it already being a majority by the time it gets to local 2000.
our friend Lindsay from Canada, when she ran for president over there,
Yeah.
showed a video of how it works. So I've seen that.
Yeah. By the way, she subsequently lost her job. So
Yes.
so that's unfortunate because Lindsay's a very good sister.
Yes.
Is Tom here yet?
Yeah, welcome, Tom.
Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry that I'm a little late, but family reunion and all. I cleaned the dishes up and I'm sitting here listening, and I know I missed quite a bit, but you're all in good hands. You're all good union people.
Okay, thank you. I hope Stephanie's still with us. She's been providing a lot of good information. She doesn't have experience with the convention itself, so she took a leave on this particular one. So I hope she's
I'm still here. I just have us on mute because my son.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, that's
Okay.
fine. Oh, we listen. Everybody that's here now and everybody that's watching needs to understand that Stephanie has a challenged son, and we're not going to say any more about that. But he's following her around the house, and so he needs mom's attention. So it's fine, and we need to understand that, all of us, because Stephanie has amazing ideas here, and it should not be a detractor at all here. So everybody needs to understand Stephanie's a wonderful mom too, by the way, and a great union leader in her own right. So we appreciate everybody being here today. So having said that, Tom, we've covered down to the 15. We were talking about that. I don't know if you have access to it, but I'll read it. And I know you had some thoughts on this. Currently, most delegates hold other elected or appointed positions. If that was changed to prevent anyone who would be currently appointed or elected from running, then the delegates could not be threatened or otherwise intimidated by threat of returning to a horrible line situation that we know some of the jobs are actually timed with negative tact time. That means they're not, if you have 60 seconds to do a job, typically in the past, it's been timed at 54 seconds, for example, and now they're timing some of these jobs at above 60 seconds. So it's built into the system that they can't get the job done. And then management steps in and does these jobs. And then if we complain, they either discipline the person for not being able to get the job done in the footprint, or they discipline on reprisals and make that a problem for the person, and they discipline after any management working grievance, and then the reciprocal or retaliatory discipline. And we know of one person that has had this progress into discharge. And quite frankly, so that everybody knows, the international president was just given an opportunity to side with members who have negative tact time in their job, and those supporting them because they are writing up management for doing these jobs that they shouldn't be. These are systemic jobs that can't be done, and management is systemically being put into these situations where they're doing our work. And when we write them up, then our guy got discharged. So the international president had a chance to side with those members that are timed upside down, and those that support that by writing management up for working. And he chose management side rather than to go with the people. And that's unfortunate. We have that in writing. Everybody needs to understand that this is systemic management working in the system. And now we have this problem regarding this. And the international president didn't side with the members in negative tact time, and a person that stood up and wrote up management for working in that systemic problem, and management steps into those and does the job, not another member from the workforce, our membership, but management's doing. And it's systemic, and he's noticed that, and he wound up being discharged over time for writing management up for work. And unfortunately, the president just sided with management in this particular issue. And that speaks for itself and why we need change in this union.
Yeah,
Everybody needs to
there's
understand.
another side to this too, Leroy, that they're putting our temps on jobs that have negative tact time, sometimes 10 to 15 seconds of negative tact time, and they're forcing these temps to do these jobs on their own, which I think is even more inhumane of how they treat our temporary workers. But they're holding their jobs over their heads too. If you can't get this done when we need it to get done, then you're out the door because you're just a temp. You know, so we're having some of our members trying to step in and help them do their jobs and stuff, and you know, our team leaders and stuff stepping in just so these kids don't and people don't get in trouble for not being able to do it. And you know, who's the small little tiny gymnast that can get this done in negative tact time?
Exactly. And then they set the standard for everybody else that's a seniority worker, when they come back, if there's a layoff or cutback or changing off or changing position, now that's set, that time has been set and it's just wrong. And we're not writing speed up paragraph 76s or 78s, I'm sorry, on these matters. So that's just not good. Tom, do you want to address that, whether they should be elected or appointed if they're a delegate, if the old system remains? So we're trying to address some of these issues here. You want to address that, Tom?
My own personal opinion, and this is my opinion only, whether somebody agrees or not, absolutely not. Should anybody hold any elective office or appointed job and then be able to run for a delegate's job? They should have to give up that job and run for the position as delegate to take the concerns of the membership at the local under the current system, which we have a delegate system. They hold no obligation whatsoever to the membership if they can come back and do whatever they want on their vacation, go into these boondoggles, as far as I'm concerned, with no concern whatsoever of what that person's dealing with out there every day on the floor. And as far as what you said about, Bobby Joe will verify this, I'm sure, those grievances should have never gotten out of house in regards to overloaded jobs. Those should have been handled in-house with strong leadership elected by membership at those particular locals, holding local management's feet to the fire. Once you let the horse out of the barn, sometimes it's hard to get it back into play, so to speak. So systemically, over the last 20 to 30 years, we've been electing non-qualified individuals in our plans with the one man, one vote. And we need to clear that up right away, as well as going to the international. Those same tactics are held over our local membership's heads as they are when they get elected delegates by the incumbents holding those powerful positions currently at the international. So it's a twofold thing, and we're not making good decisions at the local either. This thing needs to be handled locally, and people at Bobby Joe's plan or Leroy's plan or Tom's plan, we know what the problems are. The good old buddy system or the good old boys system needs to be broken up. People need to come to reality. Well, he's a nice guy. Nice guys finish last. And guess what? The guy who put him in the position is the nice guy finishing last 90% of the time. I don't know where you guys are at with the one man, one vote situation. Here again, I don't think you can clear that up until you clear that up locally at your plant level. And our plants, quite frankly, from what I've seen and who I've talked to, and I've changed a lot of friends over the last couple of months, that I am not beholden to any Marxist or communist person who's going to go up there and even have a stronger arm over my plant or what we get allocated to my facility with threats and innuendos. So here again, the individual that you speak of, it sounds like he's being held as a hostage for something. I don't know where he's from or what he's doing specifically, but maybe they need a stamping facility up there, and maybe that's that piece of the puzzle that'll get them a stamping facility there. You know, who knows? Who knows? But those grievances should have been settled in-house a long, long time ago.
Yes.
So that's my opinion.
On that issue with the been discharged 2 years, and this is now becoming problematic. So that's how that rolls at this time with him. We'll see where that goes in time. So that you're saying, Tom, I think you agreed that pretty much everybody agreed. Should we have the same system? We should, in the convention delegate, no delegate should be elected that's appointed or elected to any position that's beholding to keep that position so that it's something that we would get, essentially we'd get the opinion leaders from the floor, not the prom queens and prom kings that get elected in the caucuses at the local union level, but you'd get somebody that's the go-to person in your area that would be elected, the person that's the job setter or the repair person or whoever in your system there that you care about, and he cares or she cares about you, and you know that, and you elect that person. So so that, I think we're in agreement with that. If the current
Are
system
you
were,
saying, I'm sorry,
yes,
are you saying that the one person, one vote should change at the local level for delegates or for all the way around?
if what that comment was about was the notion that if the old system stays in place, the convention delegate, that it needs to be changed, and that anybody that holds office currently or appointed to office, whether elected or appointed, holds office, should not run or be prohibited from running, because they can be held to account or promised, pie in the sky that they may or may not ever get. But also the threat of going back on the floor would be a problem for them. And they would kowtow to the threats and intimidation at the convention to vote for the incumbent, whoever they are.
I understand that part of it, but I thought
Right.
I heard him say that the way that we elect the delegates right now is one person, one vote at the local level. And I thought I understood him to say that we should change that as well. Did he say that or not?
He's what he's saying is that we have some serious systemic problems at the local union level that currently does have one member, one vote. That's all a direct vote for virtually every office that I can think of, not the appointed positions, but either you're in your district as committee or plant-wide as any of the executive board positions, and the chairperson, shop chairpersons may be. So he's saying that there's problems with that currently, and that's down here I think it's number 19. Let me go to that if I can find that and read that out so that everybody understands part of the problem. This came in to me a few days ago, and it says, in my, and this is edited a little bit, but the content is the same. So in my large mid-Michigan local, if anyone even tries to start a second caucus or questions the current local leadership, the leadership starts shit with management, threatening those members' jobs. They call their wives, threaten them, tell lies. They flatten tires or damage cars. Since UAW local unions already have direct elections, aka one member, one vote, will the same problems that the locals currently have then be exploited at the international level? So that's the question that was brought. I think Tom was sort of addressing that in the sense that we have some serious problems at the local union level with unqualified people in positions of real power that are not capable of standing up to management and saying, you are not going to have jobs in my plant that have negative tack time. Fair day's work for a fair day's pay goes clear back to Walter Reuther, and that means you get an extra 5 or 6 seconds on your job to pick up the nut or bolt to keep it safe, as Tom has indicated to me. I mean, you speak for yourself, Tom, but go ahead and say it, because I know it's on your mind. You say it. I see you about ready to say it. Go ahead. You say it. I don't want to speak for you.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, in regards to health and safety issues, the frontline person at that plant is the committeeman. And if the committeeman is out there and I'm getting nailed for tack time because I'm showing downtime on the screen up in some manager's office because I'm constantly having to pick up bolts. And you know what I'm talking about, Bob, because you were on a few of those jobs, and it's not a comfortable feeling that you could actually fall into the line, twist an ankle, sprain an ankle, whatever. It's definitely a health and safety issue, and they need to get you help. In the old days, when you hired in, Bobby, you knew you had 5 to 6 seconds between jobs, okay? You weren't working 60 seconds out of every minute. You were working 54 minutes, 54 seconds. But there are issues out there, Bobby, that we can't even take care of on the local level. You lost a local union because people were threatened, either you do it or you're not going to get a product allocated to your local union. And as it turned out bad anyhow. Now, these are theoretical. I didn't sit in the room, but I certainly know the people and the players involved, and they were very easily intimidated, not only by the international, but by us upper members of management at their local union, and did not do a very good job of protecting work at your local plant. What I'm trying to say is we need good leaders. The methods of voting for your leaders is the same. If you're looking at one man, one vote, is the same at the local level as it would be at the international if you're looking for change and going that direction. Well, we can't get it right at the local level. Could somebody tell me how we're going to assure ourselves that we're going to get it right at the international level by doing that? There are some mechanisms with a delegate convention, okay? And there's some advantages to one man, one vote. We start out electing people to represent us at the convention with one man, one vote. Do we not?
Right. Right. Yeah. The delegates are, they one man, one vote to get for the delegates at the local union level. And then that gets, abrogated, if you will. I mean, simply destroyed by the time it gets to the convention, because with all the good intentions that are good people voting for delegates, the delegates get swayed because they have obligations to keep their elected or appointed position. I'm going to say 90% of the delegates are elected or appointed, and by the time they get there and they get pulled in, that's the other question that's here unsaid. Should delegates be allowed to be at convention? Should there be any outside influences on the delegates at convention, or should they never be addressed by any caucus during the convention? Because right now they're bringing them in wholesale into meetings and trying to influence them, saying, oh, you're part of us. And if you don't go with us, then when you get back to the plant, it's not going to go good for you. So they get that message pretty clearly. And it's pretty orchestrated at the convention. So that's another thing. When the delegates go there, can we prohibit the notion, if we continue to have a delegate convention system, could we prevent any direct access to the delegates, or allow them to just simply be on their own and go to the convention floor and back to their room, or out here, there, and everywhere where, these places are oftentimes pretty nice. They can go to a show or a movie or a river boat thing. But should they be in some sort of convention room where they're literally intimidated to vote the proper way? So can we prevent that is the question, and should it be prevented? And that we'll throw that out to the floor here. Bobby, you want to start?
Yeah, if we would change the way that, like we had talked about, with delegates not being elected or unappointed, the people that run for delegates be elected or appointed, then we start to share the wealth a little across our membership. And I think that getting more people involved not the people that are already involved, but getting more input from the people that are out on the floor and do those jobs day in and day out. And they do have strong opinions, you know, but I think that sharing the wealth, giving people an opportunity, and not necessarily a vacation, but giving them a little bit break from their tack time to have their voice heard, I think would be a great thing. I think that elected and appointed people, and I'm an appointed person being the editor of the paper, that there are certain benefits that we get to going to conventions and stuff like other trainings and stuff like that. And I just don't see where I would need to be a delegate when there's somebody else that's on the floor that could have an opportunity to go and represent our local.
Okay. Share the wealth a little bit to the people that are opinion leaders on the floor, not necessarily elected or appointed. Okay. That's in a convention delegate system if that happens to be retained. And we're doing this from both sides of this so that
Right.
the overseer can see there's problems with both sides here. Okay. So
Yes.
do you have a thought on that, or do you want to go, Jeff? Go ahead. Jeff,
Yes,
go ahead.
just so that everybody knows, before we run out of time here.
Yeah.
1987, I helped open a brand new plant here. Not many people can say that. Not many people can say that they helped create our local union. I've done that too. And for the first 20 years, I was very active in our local until our current crew got elected. Really foobarred everything. But that's something I'm proud of. I always, the first time I ran for delegate, I put a flyer out saying, I support one man, one vote. So everybody knows that in my facility. How we get to it, and that's why we have this meeting today. I'm not sure personally if one member, one vote will work out, because we don't want some idiot in charge of our national union. That's what I have to say, Leroy.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Stephanie, do you have a comment on that?
Oh, Steph, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Now I'm driving around in the car because he wanted to go somewhere. And I'm not usually this accommodating, but I'm trying to be accommodating so that I can still be on this meeting. No, I agree with Bobby, 100%.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Tom, do you have a comment on that whole notion of, you know, and we're back to the issue of not having a elected or appointed person. Should we retain the delegate convention system, have it, nobody can, and you've already articulated, I guess, but you want to confirm that again for us here, Tom?
Confirm the fact that I'd like to see language in there in regards to anybody holding an elective or appointed position should not be in a position to place their name on a ballot to run for a delegate convention spot. I would say yes, but I believe there should be language in there. If they choose to run, they have the privilege as a union member and the freedom to resign that position and run for that delegate position. Nobody should be beholden to anybody when they go to these conventions. And Jeff knows, I know, you know, and Bobby, when you go to those different places, it's for educational purposes. And I know the heart that you have, and a lot of people like you, you're going there to learn things for the betterment of the membership 99% of the time. And that's the kind of person you are. But by the same token, there are people out there that will be swayed and threatened by not only local leadership, but also the international, because they think in their minds they have an opportunity. And this is these politicians are tricky here. They're going to promise you the moon and give you nothing. They're going to tell you, you're part of our caucus. You're part of this. We're going to get you a product allocated there, but you got to do this. Well, anytime I got to do something that's to the benefit of not my membership, but somebody else's gain, whether it be a politician at the international level or the local level, or even management, I'm not for that type of person, period. They're out of my book. They're there for all the wrong reasons. Jeff is the prime example. He lost his election, I guarantee you, because he didn't play games with people. If you were qualified, whether you voted for Jeff Brown or not, if you were qualified and Jeff knew you were qualified, he put you in that position because he was looking at who could serve this membership the best. Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, we start, well, I got to give up my appointed job to be a delegate. So be it. We're testing the waters right away by testing somebody's character. Okay. Should they have to give it up? Why not? It takes the leverage off the people in power from putting shit on you. And if you're that good when you come back to the plant, guess what? I'm going to put you right back in that position after the delegate convention is over with, because you served the membership well in both areas. The membership proved it by putting you there, and they probably put you there because they seen the kind of effort you put out on the floor 24/7 when you're doing your job as the editor of that paper and presenting them with facts and a good union newspaper to read on a monthly or a weekly basis, Bobby. And that's all we should be looking for right now, period. Hell with these appointed and elected people taking a vacation. How many times did you see that, Bobby, where somebody had their campaign literature out there, vote for me, I need a vacation? That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Right.
Okay. And
Here's my question, though.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
What's going to stop them once they find out who our delegates are from bribing them? You know, no matter who it is. And, you know, I know that bullying takes place at the local level when you don't do what they want you to do, because I've been a victim of it. And I have been multiple times recently. But, you know, what's going to protect that person? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, because we all know it's real, right?
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, been a victim, still a victim. Keep going. Yeah.
So once they find out who our delegates are, they could get, you know, to say, hey, vote this way and we'll give you a job here or whatever. I mean, they could do it with anybody, really, right?
Correct. They can intimidate or threaten or bully or you know, motivate
Or
somebody.
offer.
Yeah, make
Yeah.
them an offer. They can't. So that, you know, I don't know that we can. I don't know that we can ever
To come
control
to a
that.
conclusion as to if this one member, one vote is going to work or not. And I think that there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that that could be married together to make it a better system than what we have.
Right.
You don't want anybody to feel intimidated to vote one way or the other, but we do know that that happens on a local level in our regular elections too. So, you know, I think that it's not, you know, let's just get rid of the delegate system altogether or get rid or put one member, one vote in. There's things that we have said tonight on this call that have actually have some substance to them that could be used. And it'll have to be something that's a marriage of the two with some maybe even extra little third things mixed in there to make this better, to improve the membership.
Okay. With that said, let me sort of summarize what we've talked about here. And we have to close this up. We're getting long. I want to first of all thank each and every. Got more? Do you have anything else to say on anything? Okay, we're good. So I want to thank everybody for being here. We had a lot of other people that expressed an interest to be here. Either they're a little intimidated by such things or just didn't want to be here when it actually rubber meets the road. So thank everybody for being here. Um, we expect that nobody have any harm come to them for participating in such a Zoom meeting. We're going to disseminate this to the local union officials as we can. That's been asked, that have asked us to take a lead in this. So it's not probably the lead they wanted, but we've determined that there are problems with the existing system in that delegates, once elected, can be bullied, and that those delegates are oftentimes the prom and queen kings in the local unions that go there, and they have aspirations, and they've been told, oh, we got our eye on you. We got a staff job over here looking at you. There are people in the plant that don't have that persuasion and can't be persuaded by that. And those are the people that the membership are going to have to seek out if we retain a delegate convention system. We're already seeing one member, one vote system problems with it. We have one group out there that has said, support this petition by signing it. Give us your email. We want to give you information, keep you informed. And the next thing you know, they're getting solicitations for money. The question of money and how that's going to be monitored, and in all, we discussed all of those. How that's how that would be monitored is another problem with this. And in addition to that, we had a local union, 3,000 members on strike, and we had a FaceTime 5 hours, 2 nights, 10 hours, telling them how good he is. They basically campaigning on the backs of these disenfranchised, very at-risk striking workers with little regard to their actual welfare or the actual agreement that they were being faced with. In fact, they didn't get the white pages and they were told not to vote for anything because that's actually the legal document unless they actually saw the white pages. So, and somebody else said, well, they've turned down this tentative agreement 3 times. No, they turned down 3 different agreements. The last one, they were waiting to see the white pages, and somebody suppressed those from them. That was incumbent on the local union and management to get the white pages out, but they didn't. But we had somebody that did have them and they suppressed them, and then the members weren't able to make a TA3 good response and good vote. So, but with that all out there, somebody took advantage of that and had 2 5-hour campaign speeches saying to them, don't accept anything that has any concessions. Well, nobody wants concessions. What are the concessions and what degree, et cetera, is another thing. But they had a decision. Anytime somebody's on strike for a single minute, it's an at-risk situation. And we got to make sure that they have everything at their disposal to make an informed decision, and they weren't given the white pages, and somebody took advantage of that. And that's in the one member, one vote system. And we got to know that those problems exist. They're already manifesting themselves in the one member, one vote system. The other system is broken as well. We have serious problems, and a straight up or down vote on one member, one vote does not improve the UAW. And everybody needs to understand that. I think everybody on this call is in agreement with that. We have got a lot of work to do in order to present a system that works properly for our union. And that's what we need to do. There is no greater calling. Yes, go ahead, Tom.
It worries me immensely when somebody tries to buy your vote already before we even have decided whether we're going to change the format of how we elect our leaders or not. And that's upsetting. Already they're devising and scheming how to control or take control of our local union. So it's the most money will win type of deal with an organization like that, because you're claiming to be an organization, not independent UAW brothers and sisters banding together for the common good of the whole, period. That worries me when you said what you just said. So, period. And you're 100% right what you're saying. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I would suggest, and Jeff, I got in the back end of what you were saying. Sounds like you've done some research out there. I didn't hear it. I'd like to hear it. But we need to go back and do the research. Why did Walter Reuther do what he did when he picked the delegate convention? Okay. And those facts are out there to pick his brain. His nephew is available to some people out here that they could pick his brain as to what his father, Victor, Walter's brother, had to say about why they went in that direction. And it sounds like to me we could be having a deja vu moment here.
I was actually trying to find something.
There's been a recent article by a co-chair of one of the, I'm sorry, go ahead. You cut out, Stephanie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did we lose Stephanie, Leroy?
Something happened to her phone. I'm not sure what happened. So
I'm here.
Yeah,
you were trying to find something, and then I thought that was a statement. But go ahead.
To post something on our membership page about the original delegate system, when it started and why, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay, right. I want to point out that the co-chair of one of the organizations recently wrote an article saying that defaming Walter Reuther, quite frankly, that Walter tried to keep out his competition, those being the Marxists, from being elected in the international UAW. That article is available. It's a recent article, and he addresses the fact that Walter tried to keep out his competition that are barred from holding office by federal law and by UAW Constitution, but they continue to say they're not Marxists. Yet and still, at Volvo, we have them using a professional Marxist labor organizer to address the Volvo folks in an effort to organize with them. We have that in a screenshot. So they have demonstrated directly or indirectly they are beholding to the Marxists. I don't care what they have to say that says not. We have it in writing, different. Having said that, Walter did apparently want to make sure that certain factions that are prohibited, or I should say the proper term is barred, the legal term is barred from holding office in a union. And he did that in a way to select the delegate convention. And they did have more of a representative of the membership at that time. Now, if we change it, is that going to open that can of worms up? And there'd be many, many battles over, are you Marxist and barred or are you not? Then we have, and as I was saying, we have problems with two of the other groups out there. And Tom said that he supports the notion that people are already positioning themselves in an effort to control the membership in a way that is not necessarily the best way, rather than just allowing the membership to see who and what they are and then having them make a decision on that. And that's a matter of education, as Stephanie has clearly pointed out over time. So whether or not there's a lot of information available, we'll do some more work on seeing where that's at. Again, there is a current article by a co-chair of one of the organizations complaining about Walter keeping out the Marxist opposition for Walter's benefit. And they didn't like that, and they aspire to be that same group, I guess, themselves at this time. That seemed to be what the article was saying in my read of it. Having said all of that,
yeah.
Go ahead, Bobby. What do you
they twisted the words around to make it benefit their push in their caucus, and it was an elaboration of what actually had went down with Walter Reuther. So I was very disappointed in that article.
I wondered about that. Like, I'm sitting here listening to what he's saying. I'm like, I wonder if it was actually legitimate.
Right, exactly.
So it was a fabrication.
Right, it's being bandied about like we're the poor souls over here that we were kept out of because we were Walter's opposition, and we're kept out of the process. Everybody's had an opportunity to be in the process,
right?
And it has been over the last 20 years abrogated very badly, been destroyed to the degree. I mean, since when the joint programs came in, that seemed to be a problem. But having said that, we know that we have some problems with the current system. We know that we have some problems already manifesting themselves by people taking advantage of poor striking workers for their own political benefit, telling them that, they need to do this and that, and trying to make himself out the hero with 5 hours, 2 nights of campaigning nonstop. I'm not sure that was in the best interest of those members or the general membership. Let's take a look at everybody's credentials and then sort of make that. I can say that many of the people who've been in local unions that have been associated with the other caucus have been removed from office in their local union. They've lost elections, virtually all of them in the past bit. There's one person that has gotten elected. We'll see how long that lasts once the members realize that persuasion there. Want to be clear, there are political parties in the United States. Marxism is an ideology. It is a different form of government, and I'm working with Congress to assure that political parties are definitely political parties beholding to the United States Constitution and the state constitution in which they exist, because virtually no Marxist could take the oath of office to be beholding to the United States Constitution, because they are for a different form of government. And I want to be real clear about that. Having said all of that, we have problems in both of the systems, convention delegate. We have a problem in the already manifesting into one member, one vote. We've been asked to get this video to the leadership of many locals and to the overseer. This is something that we here hold very dear, at some risk, to come on this call to represent ideas on both sides, pro and con. We have been asked to make a page on our workingforaliving.com site. And I believe from this call, I'll pull the call, that we should have an opportunity to say, I'd like to have just an up or down one member, one vote election. I'd like to have a mitigated one member, one vote. In other words, with eligibility rules and financial accounting, time period to campaign. And the same with, we'll have another spot here to retain the delegate convention system with mitigation that we've talked about here, and we'll list those mitigations. So everybody will have an opportunity to make 3 check votes. They get 1 vote on our page, and they can see where this goes by the membership. And we'll get that out and get it disseminated quite well. So the one thing will be, again, 1 member, 1 vote, straight up or down. That's what we're being asked to do. Or the 2 mitigated, keep the current system with some changes, or 1 member, 1 vote with some changes and oversight of both of all of those. So I'll pull the room. Bobby, are you okay with that, making that website?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Okay. Stephanie, are you okay?
Yes.
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 Oh,
Can you hear me? Sorry, yes.
Jeff, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, Tom?
No problem.
Okay, I'll be on that in the next few days. I'll have that put together so we can have a voting system for everybody to voice their wishes. And we'll get this video out to the local union leadership who want change, but are scared to death for their own membership because of the ramifications of asking for change. So whatever the change is going to be, we wish the overseer great speed in his listening to this and assessing the problems before our union, and that he and the rest of us in concert work together to improve our union for all the best. I want to close by saying there is no greater calling, to quote Walter Reuther, there is no greater calling to represent than to represent your fellow man. And there's no greater satisfaction than to have done it well. And each of you have the latter in my heart that you've done so well here today. Thank you for participating in this. I'll say good night to everybody, but does anybody have a closing comment as we close this down? I'll go around the room same way, the Zoom room. Bobby first.
Thank everybody for wanting to make some positive changes in the membership. I'm a grassroots type person, and
You're breaking up, Bobby. Can't hear you. Not sure.
I would love to see the membership get the power back that it deserves.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie? Closing comments, Stephanie?
Oh, she's on mute again.
Unmute. Okay, now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I would just like to say that I appreciate the overseer taking the time to listen to this and, taking our thoughts and our ideas because for the UAW, and I'm scared for us more than just one change. I don't believe it can be just one person, one vote, or the delegate system. There has to be a change in both systems for it to work for us, because people want to, they don't want to be for the membership, they want to be for themselves. And it's a big issue. And so I'm so grateful that you guys invited me to this. I'm grateful that they're going to take this and listen to it, that something comes out of it.
Thank you,
That's
Stephanie.
it.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, and thank you for all you do for your members. We know that your opinions are not only your own, but those that come, and this is true for everyone on this call, that come from other people. As I put down 19 things that come to me. And so I know that everybody's getting inundated with a lot of that same stuff. So thank you, Stephanie, for your input here today and for all you do for your membership. And it's well beyond the scope of what's on this call here. And we both know that, everybody on the call. So thank you for that. And God bless you and your son too, as well. So Jeff, do you want to, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Jeff, you want to wrap, you want a closing comment here?
No, I think this is a good platform to discuss things. I have nothing really to say, but let's keep this going.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Tom, closing comment?
Yeah, I do apologize for not being there on time, but I had to wash dishes. I'm sorry, but yeah, I truly believe that you've got a great group of people out here. I don't know who's listening, who isn't, but the folks who have spoken, Jeff, yourself, Bobby, and Stephanie, God bless you for doing what you do, like Leroy said, but there are not too many people in the world really go out there and look out for the betterment of their membership. Because if the membership's feeling good about themselves, certainly down the road, you've done your job and you've made it possible for them to stay exactly where they're at in the facility they wish to be at and not having to be hold to anybody else but the people who put them there. And that's at the local level. And whatever decision they make or anybody makes, it all comes back to the local level. If you're having trouble at the local plant, okay, you're going to have trouble with whatever system you put in place. And until you get those bugs, and nothing's ever going to be perfect, believe me, until we get this solidarity thing back in our hearts again, like I think Stephanie said, we're going to be in trouble. But, guys, thank you for what you're doing for me as a retiree, you active people. And once again, I do apologize for my last visit and not visiting with some folks that I probably should have. I'm afraid to announce my arrival in that area for someone may take reprisal on me. I promise I'll bring Handel's ice cream though.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, Tom. Handel's ice cream, he says there, Bobby. So again, thank you everybody for being here. Each of you in your own right have a resume that's amazing in and of itself. And you bring a lot to the table when you speak here on this call. So we appreciate that. Again, there's problems with both systems. We're going to try and have a voting page up for that soon. Expect in the next 5 to 7 days. I'll have that ready and we'll go on from there. Thank you all for coming and God bless our union. We know the overseer will have to be in communication with the judge regarding what we've raised here. So we have no problem with that either. So thank you very much, everybody. Bobby, we can wind this up now. I think everybody's had their say. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
For participating. Good night.